Go. Hey everyone, my name is Quincy, and I have my friend and business partner Scott with me today, and I'm very excited to be able to bring up something to you that are relevant to most of the viewer here who's doing arbitrage. And as you can see on my screen, I would like to tell you a little bit about myself in case that you haven't met. You don't know me and you don't know Scott. And I own the QuickList.com, which is a arbitrage lead list service. And then recently I introduced a brand new menu sourcing software. It's a Chrome extension. And then it's time for arbitrage seller to be able to, step up their games to be able to find more profitable inventory much faster than before. And over here, you can see two, one, those are the creation by Scott. And I want to let you know what that is. The one in the bottom, it's the book written by Scott. It's a plan of action. Scott is from the account health. It's a account health specialist, and that's his expertise. And on top, that is a full video training course that Scott put together. So that's what this video is about. We're going to be talking about two things related to account health, which is related to every Amazon sellers. And that would be enough about me. Scott, would you like to introduce to the viewer who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Quincy. I appreciate the opportunity. So I've been consulting full time since 2014, and that has primarily entailed seller performance issues, account health issues, and other Amazon consulting. And in the course of that, with the experience I gained, I put together the book, the Plans of Action book, that I really think every Amazon seller should read, because sooner or later you're going to end up needing to present a plan of action, and it's extremely helpful. It's helped a ton of people. Like, all of the reviews that are on Amazon for the book are organic reviews, and people will tell you straight up, that they read through that and it helped them. They never needed to call me or anything. In fact, the number of people who come to me for help specifically with plans of action has gone down immensely because the book's so helpful. They don't need to talk to me because they learn what they need to. And so I find that to be incredibly beneficial for people, the education that's involved, and what you get just as a baseline of being able to understand how to respond to Amazon. It's something that you really ought to pick up. Then the account health, of course, training is also quite valuable. There are so many different questions that you might have about, well, how do I respond to this, or how do I respond to that, or what do I deal with on the account health spectrum, and that really spells out a lot of that and answers a lot of those questions.
That's great. So I wish I had that book and the video training course a few years back when I initially got my account got suspended during the Q4 for 45 days. And I was trying to do everything myself. And I was figuring how hard can that be to draft up a POA because I'm not doing anything wrong, right? I just simply tell Amazon what I did, and then I assume they will understand and just reinstate me. And as a result, the time dragged on, and then it didn't happen, right? So I ultimately, Scott actually is the person that helped me. My account got reinstated, and then I realized two things. Number one, I've been neglecting all the things I should be doing regarding maintaining my account health. Number two, uh, Amazon actually is expecting something in that plan of action different, very differently than what I thought it to be. So I learned it the hard way, but ever since then, I took both into my heart. So every day I would be checking different area in my within Seller Central, just making sure my account, I get an early warning or get an alert, something's going to happen, so I can have the time to do something about it, right? And that's why this video today, we're going to be talking about some of the things that you might already know, but you're not quite sure exactly how to do it related to account health. And two specific things that we're going to be talking about is number one is Section 3. Um, so, so many of you heard about Section 3, and it seems like recently it's been getting a lot of discussion in the Facebook community, and it seems like everybody said, "I'm got hit by Section 3, and then account got suspended, and then it got reinstated." It seems like something Amazon's doing all of a sudden, and then affecting a lot of sellers, right? And then the second thing we're going to be talking about would be the account health hotline. Amazon provide that for seller, and then it has a little big button saying there, telling you, call me now, right? So when should a seller call the hotline? Should they be calling as soon as they get something, an issue, like an IP complaint? Or so what's the best time to call it, and how to call it, and what kind of expectations should have with account health hotline? And then there's a account health assurance program. So how does that help sellers? So we're going to be focused on those two subjects today. And it's going to be not going to be a long video. It's going to be something very specific and relevant. And we plan to do more of this kind of a video just to help seller to be educated and to be well aware of what are those issues are and potentially affect your account health, which is the foundation of selling on Amazon. Okay, so Scott, maybe a lot of you know me and know you a little bit, but I see you blur the background. So do you want to tell us a little bit the background?
I blurred it because I didn't want it to be a distraction.
Okay. So I thought it was unique because the it's just kind of a match for what Ecom Seller Tool, which is Scott is running his service on ecomsellertools.com. And so I thought that was kind of interesting for you to talk about the background. If you feel like you want to leave it that way, then
Well,
help
I
us.
can I can unblur it for a second, and then we can
Okay,
talk. Then it won't be
sure.
then it won't be a distraction.
Okay.
Is that better?
Oh yeah. So that's pretty interesting background. So Scott, tell us about that.
It's basically just a collection, signs
Okay.
and other things I've picked up that I'd rather keep than sell.
So that's like your inventories.
I mean, it's not really. I mean, for somebody else, it would be inventory. I mean, I'm the only one who cares about it. So as soon as I die, it becomes somebody else's inventory.
It's,
For me, it's not inventory, but it certainly could be, you know. Um, but it's like, well, that sign, that's probably only worth $60. There's another sign back there that I paid 600 for. So, it's probably worth 1,000, but to the right buyer, but I still don't think of it as inventory. There's some signs I just like, I get tired of them and I'll do something else with them. Um, and then there's a little plastic piece back. Where is it? Let me see. Right there. There's a plastic piece on the shelf back there. I paid $4 for it. It's worth $250. And to me, the find is exciting enough that I'd rather keep the $4 piece as something that I think it's a fun trophy instead of selling it for the 250.
I think that's perfect. I mean, now the viewer know a little bit about Scott beyond his e-com seller tools and all the service, all the expertise that he has to offer to serve the seller community. I figured that's something I want to break it up. So now we'll have a little bit know you a little bit more.
There's a somewhere I'm not seeing it. There's a needlepoint that shows George Washington crossing the Delaware, and I saw it at an estate sale, and they had $400 on it, and I looked at it and looked at it and thought, I don't think that he's got what he thinks he's got. And I pulled out a loop, like a jeweler's loop, and I said, take a look. This is not what you think it is. This has been printed digitally. And I mean, this guy's been in the business for a long time. He has done estate sales for years and auctions for years, and he didn't realize he was not trying to get one over on somebody. He just couldn't see it because it was so small. So I ended up buying it for 25 bucks instead of 400, but I'm keeping it because it's a great story.
Uh, that's we all like interesting stories. So if I take a walk or anyone take a walk in your in your tool barn, I think we'll hear a lot of stories. And so often people relate to each other or connect with each other through stories, right? When we meet and then, how we get to know each other, and there's a story behind it, right? But that's not today's subject. We'll talk about it at a different time. So let's talk about Section 3.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
so when people talk about Section 3, they actually referring to something in the in document or something from Amazon. Is that right?
Basically, Amazon changed things, I don't know, 2, 3 years ago. I can't remember how long. Their terms of service, they wrote it up a little bit differently. And so the business solutions agreement is the one that all sellers enter into with Amazon, and it gives them the ability to terminate your account, and it gives you the quote unquote right to go into arbitration in order to, if you have some kind of an issue with Amazon. And so everybody who's a seller who's listening to this call is agreed to that. And technically, you should have read those terms of service before signing them, just like you should read through your mortgage papers before you sign those, or a loan paper, anything like that. In this case, I highly recommend that people go to sellercentral.amazon.com and look up the business solutions agreement and read the whole thing. You should read it basically cover to cover. And we were kind of joking around about it before this. It's like, well, I'm just going to type in Section 3, copy all that, and put it in ChatGPT. And more power to you. It's way better than nothing. You should be familiar with Amazon's policies and what they expect of you. Chances are you're never going to run up against those things and cause a problem for the significant issues that they don't want sellers to be engaged in, all their prohibited policies. That's basically what's covered in Section 3. So that's really a broad brush. When you say Section 3, it could be any number of things. It could be counterfeit. It could be, all kinds of problems. And it's very important to know that they take all those things seriously. I'm sure people get upset, right, when they get a notice and it says that you're selling something that's inauthentic. It's like, I know exactly where this came from. It is not inauthentic. You're being accused of basically theft and lying and stealing all at the same time, and that's not something you did, and so it's real easy to get put out about it and have a knee-jerk reaction, or want to call Amazon, or you want to write them and ask what this is really about, and basically all those types of reactions are definitely a mistake. The things that you want to figure out when you get some kind of a notice from Amazon, Section 3 or otherwise, what exactly was the cause? Your primary objective is to determine the root cause of the reason why they're notifying you about something. Then that's the starting point every time. And you're going to be tempted. There are the people who tempt it all the time. It's like, oh, I'm going to call them. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I've got one client right now. He's been on Amazon since prior to 2006, I think. He's on every single Amazon platform. He's on every single eBay platform. He's got $1 million sitting at FBA right now. and he's got a Section-3 suspension for something that he did not intentionally do to violate Amazon's policies. But the first thing he did, despite the fact he's been on Amazon for so long and has helped a lot of other sellers, he's helped sellers get started, he's managed accounts. The first thing he did is called Amazon because that's what he's used to doing. That's not the right thing to do. I think you really want to back up and look at the root cause and see what you can do to fix whatever the problem is. You would want to, in a lot of cases, present Amazon with a plan of action, what you've done to fix this problem after you've identified the root cause, and then what you're going to do to prevent it from happening again. You want to lay all that out very succinctly, very concisely, and very efficiently, but in a way that's thorough enough to be able to explain what's happening. And then you wait after you submit that. You submit your plan of action, and most of the time anymore, the way that you submit it is much different than it used to be. They just give you a box, and you're like, well, maybe it's sufficient to just put a few words into this box or a few sentences or whatever. But more often than not, they're considering that your plan of action. So if you've got an opportunity to give them a full plan, I would do that instead of giving them a few sentences that count against you and won't be sufficient. And so in his case, he got on the phone, called Amazon. They counted that phone call as a plan of action, and which he was just asking questions. So it really that counted against him also. Um, and so you want to be really careful when you're responding to Section-3 or any other type of question that Amazon has for you, a notification that would normally show up in your account health dashboard or in your performance notifications. And so in addition to reading through the business solutions agreement, which I highly encourage you to do, read through what are now, that is the terms of service that governs your relationship with Amazon. Every single day, you should be going to and reviewing anything that's showing up in your account health dashboard. And you should be looking also at your performance notifications. I've noticed a lot of sellers that I've talked to recently, they only go to their account health dashboard. And if they're a new seller, in some cases, they don't even know about their performance notifications. I said, hey, go over here and go here and drop this down. He's like, oh, I've never seen this before. And I'm like, how do you got to pay attention to your performance notifications also. The other thing you need to pay attention to is the email on your account that you've given to Amazon for the purpose of them to send you notifications. Sometimes they send you things in email, or they send you replies via to cases that for some reason, I don't know if it's a glitch or just something wrong with Amazon systems. That correspondence between you and Amazon will only show up in that email and won't show up anywhere in your performance notifications or on your account health dashboard. So that's 3 places you have to check every day. That would be extremely beneficial, especially for arbitrage sellers, to be able to make sure you're staying on top of your account.
So you mentioned about how to react to some of the issue when it kind of have the potential to kind of have suspend your account. So you call. So we're going to get to that a little bit. So the Section-3 that you mentioned, you provided some of the things that arbitrage sellers should be doing every day, right? So regarding Section-3, it's not back in the days that a few years back when my account was suspended. There's no Section-3 at that point yet, right?
I mean,
So
it didn't exist in that form.
okay. So later on, so basically, it just so happened recently, a lot of people got affected. It seems like it's something brand new. The Amazon's coming down really hard on seller. Like it happened from time to time, like like a wave, right? Something really come up, and then Amazon coming down on the seller on a very specific thing, and then it will fade away, and then until next time it will come up again. And just so happened during that time, it has another issue that people need to pay attention to, is checking your inventory to see if any of them are being sold under the brand name of generic, right? So so my team was checking on all the inventory in my account and try to look for that and identify, and then we'll have to remove them, and then so that we not get hit by Amazon. So that kind of a coincide with what happened to the Section 3. So give the people the sense that, oh, this may be something new, and it's something Amazon never done it before, and so what should I be looking out for? So based on what you're saying is that it's the same thing that Amazon in the agreement with the seller, they said, here's the things, here's the boundary that you should operate within. And it's up to the Amazon when to come down hard on the seller, or to just let it go and not really enforcing it. So knowing what the Section 3 portion of the Amazon policy entails, and then we'll kind of get the seller themselves educated, and which is always a good thing, right? So that's kind of so not just like, okay, Section 3, now the height it's already hit the plateau, and now it's going down, and less cases will will happen, and then you can be lax a little bit. And so that is not the case. It's just something that, as a seller, especially the arbitrage seller with so many SKUs, and especially need to do a good job, stay on top of your account health per what you're suggested, right? In those 3 areas.
I think it's a real wax and wane type of thing. Amazon goes and fits and starts with these waves of suspensions, and sometimes they happen at certain times of the year, and sometimes there are certain types of things that Amazon is more likely to enforce, and sometimes they get more up in arms about specific prohibited actions or activities, or they are more likely to have a problem when they're cleaning up the catalog, and they go after everything that says generic. But I'm sure you've talked about this in your groups before, and I would go a step further, especially with arbitrage sellers, and I think most of everybody will have heard this, but for the one person who hasn't, make sure that the brand name is correct. You don't want to list against a brand name that is not an exact match for the product that you are selling. And that means the brand name has to be accurate, and if it's suspicious or fishy or whatever in any way, I would definitely consider not listing against that particular listing, because that'll get you in a lot of trouble, especially with IP complaints.
Yeah, so that's the one thing I think it's easy to do. I mean, every time you find something, you have the profit potential. You want to make sure you do that check for every product. And
Definitely.
because
You
of
find a
that,
product and you're so excited about it and you're looking at the profitability, it's real easy to overlook that and think, oh, you either don't pay attention to it, or, oh, you think you can get away with it, and I think it's not worth it.
yeah, especially if you're on the product page, you have to kind of scroll down to see what Amazon, displayed what the brand is. If you're using Keepa, and then there's always the information is there. You just have to do your due diligence to make sure you check it. So in the extension that the software that I just introduced, we actually listed out what the brand name is, as well as the manufacturer's name. So sometimes the two are not exactly the same. Like earlier, we have the Hoga. Hoga, the brand is Hoga, but the manufacturer it's different, right? So some of the law firm actually come down on people on Hoka, the brand. So we remember that just a while ago. So I think those are the small things that actually, when it's taken care of, can help us to stay out of the issue like that. Now, with Section 3, you mentioned people calling Amazon, right? So specifically in the account health dashboard, there's an account health hotline with call me now button there. It seems like when people get into some kind of issues, whatever the IP complaint or any kind of a related issue show up on that dashboard, should the seller just go ahead and pick up the phone and call seller account health hotline?
I typically only recommend calling account health at a specific point in the process, and that's after you've supplied a plan of action and you have then heard back from Amazon a response. At that point, after you've received a response, I feel like it's appropriate to call account health if the response was, we need more information, or, thank you for your submission, but it's not enough to reactivate your listing or your account at this time. At that point, it makes sense to call account health. But you've got to keep in mind that either initiating a call or talking to them in chat or um, just talking to them in general is only going to be but so helpful. It's something that you kind of have to read between the lines. You have to be prepared by asking the right questions. You can't get frustrated with them or angry with them or raise your voice or anything like that. They're just basically a customer service support specialist who's been assigned to seller performance. You can't talk to people at seller performance, so they give you account health to talk to. And they're maybe only a little bit more helpful than seller support, but they certainly can provide information that's helpful that you can use to go back and review what you've submitted because they can see everything in your case. And so you can ask them to review it, ask them, what do they see that you're missing, and you can get some helpful insights that might be what you need in order to use their tips or suggestions to polish your plan of action and make it better or make it what they need to see. But I think it makes the most sense to wait until after you've submitted your plan of action and after they've responded to the case before you call them, because that's the point where you've given them something that they can work with. It's like you go to the emergency room and they can't tell you what's wrong with you until they run a bunch of tests. Well, it's now you're showing up with the tests in hand. It's almost like they have something they can work with. And so that's why it's better, I think, to wait and call account health, especially when it seems like more and more often just a call to account health can sometimes acts like a plan of action, like you submitted something when you didn't. And so you want to be real careful. I used to say I don't think it can hurt you. It's no problem to call them and ask for help. But if you go back into the case log and you see their response and it makes it look like we still don't have enough information and then it's another POA, then you want to be really, really careful about the number of times you call and ask them to review things and ask for suggestions or what else you might be missing. The
Think
other thing to keep in mind is not all of the account health specialists are equally helpful. So it might be necessary to call and talk to several of them before you got enough new information that you can work with in order to make things better.
That's a good tip. I mean, talking to just like standard seller support, sometimes you will find one that is very helpful. So
Sometimes,
that might take a couple, interaction in order to find that person. So the same thing with the account health specialist. So it sounds like they are not performance from the seller performance team, and they are not necessary the regular seller support that seller deal
right,
with, ongoing basis. So
right,
they're kind of a liaison in between the two group.
kind of a little bit like that.
Okay. I think that's it's a step forward for Amazon to offer that support for seller.
It is. When they first came out with it, I was really excited. I thought, hey, they're really trying and they're making it possible to find out more information than you used to be able to find out. And to some extent, that's true. And it is beneficial. It's way better to be able to talk to somebody to count health than to not have that opportunity at all. It's just they're not gonna do the work for you. They're not gonna make it all that much easier. They're just gonna make it possible.
think those are the two topic that we talk about in this video, and I hope that it's become a clarity in to our viewers about Section 3, and we will encourage you to read Section 3 and conduct daily operations, stay on top of your account health issue, as Scott suggested. And then when you do run into a situation which is arbitrage seller, at one point and another, you will get to a situation that you need to engage a cam health specialist, and then you need to draft the POA. So Scott, if when seller run into such a situation and want to seek help from you, I mean, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
My website would work well. Ecom Seller Tools, ECO, M as in Mary, 1M, Seller Tools with an S.com. You can get those materials on the site as well, the training and the book. I think the book, everybody, if you got suspended today, you should read the book first before replying. If you need to write a plan of action today, you should read the book before replying if you haven't written a lot of plans of action before. I mean, it's you can get through it in 2 hours, and you can learn a ton really quickly. And if you have a team, I think and you have other people on your team who handle the stuff like with seller performance and account health, I would buy that for the people on the team and get them trained. It'll, if nothing else, it'll save you a bunch of time, and it'll potentially save you a bunch of money and get you reinstated faster. So it's well worthwhile.
So I read the book, and I watched the video training course. Let me see. If you are a quick list subscriber, probably if you're not aware of, if you buy the book and read it, you get the benefit, get the knowledge, get the understanding, I will reimburse you the cost of the book. Either you get a Kindle versions or you get it from Amazon, the hard copy. If you do that, I want you to do it, and then because I'm going to reimburse you, I think it's so important regarding the getting educated, aware of what the consequence of the benefit of staying on top of your account health, which is foundation for you to sell on Amazon, right? So I just want to point it out to you today. You can get it for free, but I want you to actually take action, buy it and read it, and then let me know. I'd be glad to pay it for you if you are my list service.
That's a great offer.
Yes, I'd love to, because my own experience being suspended, I know it's not fun. It wasn't fun for 45 days. So I hope the viewer, you don't have to wait until you get into a situation like that. I hope that didn't happen to any of us. But in case it does, and at least you know what to do with it, right? It's going to be it's just the part of the game being an arbitrage sellers. So nobody is immune from it. So it's better to prepare yourself for it, right? So okay, Scott, I think our time for today is up, and I think I'm really happy that to be able to bring you on because I know there's a lot more as the book and the video training course cover. There's a lot of topics inside that we can talk about, and then to bring to attention of arbitrage sellers. So hopefully in the near future, we'll be gathered together again. Then we'll pick one or two subject, and then we'll be able to share with our viewers. So I think that would be the purpose of having our talk together. So any other last comment that you want to share with our viewer?
Keep looking for ways to expand as far as other revenue streams. Definitely a good idea to not have all of your eggs in one basket.
Multi-income.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's one way to reduce in case something happen, you're not, I mean, it's not like all it's lost, right?
Right. It'd be nice to not lose your account and lose your house, unable to make your mortgage payment. You don't want to be stuck like that. And it's especially starting out, you see a lot of guys get people get over leveraged, and their credit cards are maxed out. I'd be wary of that. There's got to be a better way.
Okay, thank you for the tip. All right, everyone. Then thank you for spending the time and watch the video. I hope that it will be beneficial to you. Until next time, me and Scott will be seeing you again. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you very much.